Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Earliest Late Show. I am so excited to have Cass on with us. Can you just give a little brief introduction of who you are?
Hello, my name is Cass Huckabay, and I am an actor, and I live in Los Angeles, and I'm from Oklahoma.
Amazing. So, I'll love to start by getting to know everyone's start and where they began and how they got into this and acting. Was that always something that you thought you'd do, or was it kind of something that you learned and got inspired by on the way?
I never thought that I would act ever. I've always worked in entertainment, I guess. I used to
Mm.
sing, but whenever I came to LA, I had absolutely zero intention of acting. I came so the my partner that I was with at the time whenever I was coming out here, he was in the military and he had just gotten deployed. So my friend Allie, who her name is Allie Ayers, she was doing Sports Illustrated swim search at the time. She came back to Oklahoma to visit her mom, and she was like, "What are you doing in Oklahoma?" Nothing. And she was like, "You should come out to LA. Come tomorrow." So I did. I put all my stuff in my car and I left. And she was like, "I'm in this acting class. Do you want to come see what it's about?" And I was like, "Okay." So I went, and they happened to be recording that day, and I watched myself on camera, and I was like, "I think I might be good at this."
Wait.
I was like, "I think that looks good. What? Hello? Who is that?" Yeah, so that's how I got into it, but I had no intention of ever doing it.
That I feel like that's half the stories you hear in LA. It's like you kind of just fall into it, acting kind of comes to you somehow. But I also see you like on social media a lot, like TikTok, Instagram. Like I love tuning into your inspirational like actors, you need to be doing this and like don't give up and it's I love it. And I would just love to know how you got into that too and like how did you decide was that kind of after the acting thing and you kind of it kind of melted into doing social media posts about acting and
Yeah, I know it's funny because the social media thing was a little bit before acting. I again, no intention of doing that, but
yeah.
so do you remember whenever TikTok was Musically?
Yes.
Okay, so they transformed into TikTok.
Mhm.
One day, I don't know when that happened, but they a bunch of people were lip syncing on the app, and they were like, "We want people to do not lip syncing. Let's start hiring people to do anything but that, so that this becomes like a legit social media, like well-rounded platform." So they started hiring people, and they hired me. So they were paying me per month to post like singing videos.
Whoa!
I know, it was really that was a feels like a fever dream of my life because I like my first video that I posted went viral and I ended up getting like 300 some thousand followers. They stopped paying me, and so I stopped posting, which was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life, um, because I lost all traction on there. But then I kind of stopped doing it and then came back to doing social media posting just for the enjoyment of it, which is like what you should always do anyway. But I didn't know back then what that was going to be like. And whenever I started posting on Instagram, all the videos that I post now about kind of finding your grounding and doing whatever it is that you're doing and going for it 100% full force and keeping the momentum going. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. It's something that I enjoy talking about. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you can totally relate to that. I just like the idea of everybody doing what it is that they want to do, not caring what other people think about it, and then having the freedom to express their process. You know what I mean? Like that's what I do on Instagram. Is just kind of like express my process in life itself.
Yeah. What you said about the transition from Musical.ly to TikTok blew my mind because I was like, because kind of just did change over to TikTok one day, and we're just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a new app, and I didn't know they had people on to like help that transition happen. I think that's really
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't use Musically. They were like, "You know how we were Musically?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Great, get on TikTok." I was like, "Okay." So I didn't even use the app properly. I literally would hop on there and like do my 15 or 30 seconds or whatever it is that they wanted me to do per day. And then I just would hop back off. So I was actually probably the worst employee ever, but I did my best.
I mean, TikTok is thriving now. Who knows? It could have been because of you.
It was all because of me. You're welcome, TikTok.
And you talked about like healing a lot. And I noticed I don't know how long ago it was, but you talked about how traveling is healing for you, especially solo traveling and like learning a lot about yourself. So I'd love to hear about that and like what you've learned along that journey and being with yourself and other places that you're not like familiar with, and how has that taught you things about yourself.
Yeah. Not my voice cracking. Yeah, man, so I went through like a really tough part of my year this past year, or
Hmm.
my life. I went through a really tough part of my life this past year, and I just like I sat there and I thought, you've never really taken time to get to know yourself. Like I I've like I said, whenever I started doing the social media thing, it was because I was getting paid and it was because of that.
Hmm.
But whenever I went through this really tough point in my life, I was like, why do you care? Why are you hurting? Like what are these things that you need to discover about yourself that's going to lead you to a process that is healing? Because I
Yeah.
had gone through a breakup and I felt like I wasn't very independent and I didn't know who I was anymore. So I was like, you know what? You used to be so spontaneous, and I consider myself like a fun, spontaneous person. And I kind of forgot that I was that. And I was like, I'm just going to leave the country and I'm going to hop around. And I did. I like booked a flight, and 2 weeks later, I went to Europe, or sorry, I went to the UK first because I used to live in Scotland for like a very short amount of time. Um, and I went and visited my friends there, and then
Hmm.
I hopped around in Amsterdam, and then I went over to Rome, and I stayed in hostels and I met people, and I was like, I remember so many things that I love about myself, and I took time to nurture those pieces of me that I hadn't nurtured in a really long time. So, and I don't know why I chose to express that on social media. I think that I just felt like, again, I had lost my independence and I wanted somebody to share my experience with. So I just put it out there for other people to relate to for no reason at all, except for because I wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about TikTok too, because I feel like anything you could put out there, like you don't know what's gonna come back to you and who's gonna relate to it, because TikTok reaches like all corners of the world almost, and it is a cool and like comforting thing, especially when it blew up during the pandemic, that like there's so many people around the world that you can reach and
Yeah.
relate to and find comfort in.
Yeah, totally. And I think that a lot of people were experiencing the same. I know a lot of people were experiencing feelings of loneliness or loss, or we had all of these. Also, people lost a lot of people during the pandemic in life and also in relationships. And I think that there was just something there that I felt like I wanted to share, that I thought people could relate to. And I maybe hope always in life that there's even a small percentage of life experience that I can share, that other people can go, "Oh, I know what that feels like." And yes, it is possible to get through it. And I know that I probably am, and no, not I am probably. I know that I am really privileged in so many ways, and I'm grateful for that. But there are people on all spectrums and walks of life that can relate to some piece of what you're going through at all times.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of like filmmaking and acting too, because you bring characters to life that people are like, I see myself in that person, and I see myself in this film. Um, so
Yeah,
that's
no, that's acting relates so much to that, and I wish not I wish so much that I discovered it sooner because I love it. I love it so much. And you really do just get to step into somebody else's shoes. You like we are so lucky to be in a job where we just like play pretend for a living. You know what I mean? Like we
yeah,
get to step into a completely different human and bring that human to life and uh watch other people watch them and relate to them, and in the same way that we share our lives.
yeah. And speaking of acting and movies, I have my first game laid out for you, and it's called the Logline Challenge. Basically, we have 6 randomized log lines, and you tell me who you would cast in them. I love playing this game because it allows like actors and like screenwriters to like kind of get into the minds of casting directors and just think of something that you wouldn't really get to do that much. But we'll just dive right in. The first one is giving a little indie. It's an aspiring pilot discovers they were colorblind during their school entrance exams and they begin to spiral.
Okay. A pilot discovers they're colorblind and they begin to spiral. Okay. Okay. Um, whatever I think pilot, my first thought was Tom Hanks, obviously. And honestly, I think that he devotes a lot of himself to being somebody that is completely different than what he is. And I think that, yeah, no, I think Tom Hanks would play that character wonderfully.
I think that's a great casting. Okay, the next log line is a teen girl wakes up in the middle of the woods with a dead body next to her with no recollection of what happened.
Oh my gosh, hold on. I need to remember her name. Give me a second. It's Hunter Schafer.
Okay.
Hunter Schafer. I just know the progression of what that person would have to go through to heal from that moment would be such a up and down. The character arc would be so huge, and I think that she would do a beautiful job.
I could see that. She was also recently cast in the Hunger Games prequel. So
What?
yes,
I
yes.
didn't know that.
Hunter, Rachel Zegler, like the cast is stacked for that. I didn't even know they were doing a prequel to that movie, and I just watched the Hunger Games trilogy, and so I'm really excited to.
This is news to me. I need to get my head in the game. I've been watching Entourage.
Still a great watch.
Still a great watch.
Okay, next log line. A pop star discovers they have a terminal illness and decides to live their life on the edge, being reckless.
Ooh. Zendaya.
Okay. It's giving very Malcolm and Marie, like she was sort of a artist in that vein.
Yeah, and she's a producer and she's a pop star, and I think that those two things mixed, and we know that she's really great at portraying like internal emotional turmoil and growth from trauma and situations where you have to really rediscover yourself, and I think that she would do a very beautiful job playing that.
I have to agree with you. Okay, this next one, you get a few casting choices. It's a group of teens rob a bank and get away with it, but their friend is shot and killed in the process.
Ooh.
So who would this group be?
Okay, group of teens. Can we just take like the entire cast of Stranger Things and like integrate them into this world?
Who would be killed?
Oh my gosh. Who's the guy that plays Finn?
Mike. Oh, Finn plays Mike.
Good Lord. Finn plays Mike. Okay. Yes, he dies.
Okay, he dies. Ooh. They have a lot to go through. They're dealing with a lot, going from that world to fighting Demogorgons, and then he dies.
They're just gonna have to go to therapy for the rest of their lives, like me. Oh my god!
Two more. One is a lonesome man goes on a blind date with a woman who ends up being his stalker. So we got to cast the man and the stalker.
Okay, so a man goes on a date with a woman who ends up being his stalker. The woman's the stalker?
Yes.
I'm picturing comedy.
Yeah.
I'm picturing dark comedy.
The first thing that came to mind when you said comedy and stalker, I thought Aubrey Plaza.
I would really love to do Aubrey as stalker. No, Jennifer Coolidge. Are you kidding me?
Okay, that's taking a whole new. Yeah, I can see it.
So Jennifer Coolidge is the stalker.
Yes.
I think I'm just like casting my dream film parents. Jennifer Coolidge's mom, and then Jim Carrey's dad. Yeah.
Jim Carrey's getting stalked by Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
That'd make my life
I would watch that, actually. That would be, I feel like that's something we've never really seen before. And I feel like it could be something new and fresh.
Yeah, it's like a Truman Show that nobody wanted.
Yeah. It's
Nobody asked for it.
number one on the charts.
I feel like she would play like a really great unassuming stalker. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't
Yeah.
even know that he's being a stalker. She like thinks it's totally normal, and he is like very unsuspecting and naive. He's not in real life. He's a genius,
No,
wise person. But I think that he could play that character really well. Yeah.
I think that'd be a good twist because I was literally just talking to someone about how like the I want to say all female, like all women are like this, but like when you're younger, the crushes can get very stalkerish, very fast, like very.
Yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think young people forget that like that moment can actually be remembered and documented forever. Um, and then also, how many times is it that somebody has to like call you for it to be considered stalking?
I don't even know.
But a teenage girl like obsessed with a guy that she likes could probably hit that number pretty freaking fast.
Yeah, and like the the journey of like finding out their names and their families' names on the internet, like
The detective work that a group of teenage girls, can you imagine the cop just like busting a sleepover and being like, you're all stalkers?
like they all need restraining orders like right now. Like it's
I can like the prank calls that they would be doing also.
yeah, and like
Like
just
if that
supporting.
phone wire was like tapped, they would be sitting on the other line like, what did they just say? Why did they say that? Makes no sense. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
we have one last log line,
Okay.
and I feel like I would watch this movie, but it's two high school sweethearts break up after 10 years of being together, but agree to keep pretending for their high school reunion.
See, here's my issue. It's the fact that I don't know a ton of young actors anymore.
Well, this is 10 years after their high school, they're going to their 10-year reunion. So they've been together from high school to 10 years later. So they're about 28-ish.
Okay. 28-ish. Let's do John David Washington.
Okay.
I feel like he could play young, right? Right?
Yeah,
I think he could play young.
I think you can play a Hollywood young.
Yeah. Okay. So John David Washington and then Sydney Sweeney. Oh man,
Oh,
that would be a good time.
that'd be so interesting because I feel like the comedy of them pretending for their high school reunion, like I would love to see Sydney in like a straight comedy too. Like I feel
I've
like that.
never seen her do comedy before ever. I
Yeah,
guess what I notice is like it leans comedy, but it leans like dry.
yeah, yeah. Agreed, agreed. I think that's a great casting. I feel like all your castings are like, ooh, like it's giving it like a little bit of a twist, and I love it.
I want to see people in things that they wouldn't normally play. People are probably like watching this thinking, that's horrible. Why would you do that? They've never played that before. But no, they have to. I want to see that. That's what I want to see. I want to see them do it.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. I love seeing people in like something opposite that you haven't even ever even thought of them being in.
You
Like,
can't do an obvious casting. It's not fun. Especially
yeah,
not whenever you pretend.
I feel like HBO does that really well too. Because I feel like a lot of the shows they had, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have seen this person in that, but it's
H-
great, you know?
HBO is very, very serious. Like they have the best shows. They have the best shows.
Yes.
HBO is like my girl. I love her.
Yeah,
Woman.
I'm obsessed. I watched Minx, which Minx is a show I would have never. It's like based in the 80s, and I would never really watch a show in that period. But HBO does everything so well that I'm like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. Okay,
HBO does. Yeah.
we're gonna dive into some more questions. You were on a panel at
Mhm.
Comic Con earlier this year for your film Colonials, and I would love to hear about that. And also, like, if you were invited again, would there be like a dream comic based sci-fi character that you would want to be?
Oh man. Okay, first of all, that was so fun. We went for like such a short amount of time because lead actor Greg Crick, I think he pronounces his last name Crick. He had uh I think he had to get back for something like a meeting or something, and I rode with him. Me and the makeup artist from Colonials rode with him, and we had to come back like 7 hours later round trip, and it's all the way down in San Diego. But like so fun. The panel itself was amazing. Everybody asked really great questions, and honestly, it was just really fun to see the cast again because that
Yeah.
movie has been like 3 years in the making. So I hadn't seen everybody in forever, and that was really really fun to do. And then I was just honored that they had us sit on a panel there. And people at Comic-Con are like the most beautiful, quirky, bizarre humans in the entire world. I love them so, 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 so much. And walking around seeing everybody in their costumes. And then there were two kids in the back of the panel who had like the spacesuit on, the
Oh,
colonial spacesuit on, and it was so cute. But if I had to like do a sci-fi again, I really love playing a like gritty character.
mhm.
So I think I also love a supporting lead. I think I would have to be a villain next time because I was on the good
Ooh.
guy colonials. So maybe like an antagonist that is like kind of driving the plot, you know? The one who's like everybody is like, "Oh my gosh, I hate them," but like if they died, it would be nothing, you know? That's who I would want to play in a sci-fi in the future.
I love that. I love a villain that everyone roots for. I feel like there's people that like they're so good at playing villains that are
Oh yeah,
so
you love to hate them.
yeah. And it's like you hate them, but if they're gone, it would be a horrible movie. You know, like if the villain was not in it, we wouldn't be happy. So it's like
Yes.
you need them there. You need them to be on your hate
Oh,
train.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be nothing. Also, villains are fun because villains are hard to play
Yeah.
because you have to find a relatable quality about them, and you don't wanna relate to a person that you don't like. Like, you're allowed to not like a character, you know? You're allowed to read a script and be like, "That's a bad person." But you have to find something in them that you relate to, and you also have to find a redeeming quality about them, like something that people can go, "Ah, shoot," like, I get it. I kinda get it sometimes why
Yeah.
why they are the way that they are. And you have to find that quality, and you have to bring it out so subtly in so many moments because you can't make a character that you just straight hate the entire time. And I
I
think
completely agree. Yeah.
yeah, it's like somebody fun to watch.
Yeah. I feel like the characters that people hate a lot, people hate because they relate to them a little too much and they relate to them in the parts they don't like about themselves. Like Cassie from Euphoria. Yeah, I a lot of people hate her, but it's like, can't we relate to her a little bit? Like
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. No,
everyone hates her, but
everyone hates her, but it's like, okay, but, like, don't you remember whenever you were, like, a 16-year-old crazy like, you know what I mean? Like, don't you remember, guys? Like, why do you really hate her so much?
exactly. Let's reflect a little bit.
Are you projecting? Not my therapist, like, "No."
And speaking of wants, I love for people to share their wins and their wants because I believe there's power in sharing what you've accomplished and also in sharing things that you want out loud. So I would love to hear what are some things you've accomplished in this last year and what is something you would want to accomplish in the next?
I think this past year has been my proudest year,
Hmm.
honestly, because I've learned the value in so many things, but the most recent thing has been the power of um, building a community or networking, if you will. Like, I think that I have established my independence bigger than I ever have in my life. Um, as far as like personal goals, I feel like I've grown so much. But as far as like professional goals, I feel like I have learned a new level of work ethic and being smart about how I spend my time during the day and valuing my time and thinking about myself like, how much are you going to be worth in the future? That's how much you should be treating your time worth now. Like, how much per hour will you be worth in the future? Treat yourself now as if you are already that person. And I think that finally, for the first time in my life, I have really been treating myself like I am that person and really valuing my day and every single hour, minute, and second in that day and using it wisely. So I'm really, really proud of that. And I'm really proud of the community that I've been building around me to help me be better, and I want to be better all the time.
You just talked about that on Instagram. I think just wanting to be intentional with who you're spending your time with every week, also, and like building those meaningful connections and being
Mhm.
intentional about who you're meeting with every week. And I think that's really important to have that intention behind it because a lot of times we'll say a lot of things and then like not set the intention of like, I'm going to do this every week because I have I'm valuable and I have value. I could bring value to the relationships I build. So yeah, I think it's really insightful and like it shows growth too, because a lot of people don't even get there for a large majority of their life.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like you are, it's cliche and maybe people are like, heard that before, but you are who you spend your time with. You
Hmm.
are what you watch, you are what you listen to, you are what you think about yourself. Like
Yeah,
you have to take into account all of those things and every single day, like even if you're joking, if you say something negative about yourself or other people, you are that person and you will
yeah,
become that person. So like be kind to yourself and give yourself grace and also give yourself and your time the respect and that it deserves because you are
yeah,
going to be a powerful human being if you know that you are.
yeah. And on that note, we're gonna go to our last game before we wrap up. And
Okay.
this is Are
I
You
think
Smarter
I was so
Than a
bad
Fifth
at the last one.
Grader? It was amazing.
I know.
But the running high score on this, I believe, is 8 out of 10. But I think it's like 8 out of 10. Like it was a little iffy, but we'll try to beat it. We'll try to beat it. I'm gonna play
Okay.
along with you because the questions are kind of harder than you think they're gonna be.
Is it trivia? Oh my god.
Yes, it's Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Um,
All right.
the,
I don't know if I am.
the first question is which continent is the least populated? Asia, Antarctica, Australia, or Europe?
I mean, I feel like Antarctica feels like the obvious answer, right?
I agree. I think it has to be Antarctica. Yes.
Okay, thank God. I was like, tell me Australia is not that small with people.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Pythor. Oh my gosh. Pythor. Pythor. Oh my god. How did the fifth grader know this? Okay. Pythagoras theorem. It's not Pythagorean theorem.
Pythagorean theorem.
It's
Oh,
not Pythagorean. It's
I was like, I know that one.
Pythagoras theorem relates to what shape? Square, hexagon, triangle, or circle?
Okay.
Pythagoras theorem.
Square, hexagon, what or circle?
Triangle or circle?
High, 3 point. I'm gonna go with triangle.
Okay. I trust you. Yes. Triangle.
Woo! Let's go. Let's go.
Okay. What do the stars on the US flag represent?
Uh,
Countries, cities, states, or provinces?
states.
States. Yes. Yes.
Oh.
I don't know why my brain went to colonies. And I was like, colonies isn't an option.
Isn't that with the stripes? Isn't it something to do with the
That's
stripes?
right.
That's what it is? Got it. Got it.
Okay. Whoa. If there are 8 apples and you
Mhm.
take 6, how many apples do you have?
6.
Yes.
I took
That
them.
almost threw me off. I almost said 2,
I almost
but
answered quickly. I almost got cocky.
how many holes are there in a 10-pin bowling ball?
3.
3. Yeah. I think there's 3. I remember bowling with 3.
I bowl.
Correct.
I like it.
On a roll. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Where is the coldest location on Earth? Antarctica, Belgium, Denmark, or Dublin?
Antarctica.
I feel it's Antarctica, but I also feel it could be a trick question. But I think it's
No,
Antarctica.
I don't want to jinx myself. I don't want to think about it too hard.
Okay, Antarctica. Perfect.
Yes! Man, I might be smarter than a 5th grader. I
You,
might.
I mean, we're above average right now.
Okay, cool. Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Carefully is an example of what type of word? Adjective, noun, verb, or adverb? Carefully.
Um I don't know if it's an adverb or a adjective. It's an adverb.
Okay. I feel like you're right. Ly is adverb. Yes. Yes. On the roll. Okay. We have 3 more.
Okay.
The sum of all angles on a triangle adds up to how many degrees?
One. mm, I know this. Why can't I think of it?
Hmm.
110?
Oh wait,
No.
I'll give you options. There are okay, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 45 degrees, or 360 degrees. I'm leaning towards one of the first two for sure. It's either
One 160?
100.
Am I an idiot for saying that?
Well, there's a 180 option. Are you gonna go?
180 was my very first thought, so I'm gonna go with that.
Yes, you are
Okay.
correct. Because I feel like that it
Word.
makes a
I was
lot.
trying to do math. I was like, what are all the and what is the
Yeah, I was like trying to
trying to do
calculate
math
all
in
the
my head.
countries. What country has the largest population in the world? Russia, China, USA, or Brazil?
I'm going China.
I'm going. I think you're correct. Yes. Okay. Last one, and I mean, I think you already beat the high score because you got 9 out of 10. But we have one more. Which of these is not a compound word? Sunflower, teacher, moonlight, or railroad?
Teacher.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
10 out of
Listen,
10.
I thought I was about to make myself look real dumb. The triangle question, it had me. It did.
You got the highest because the other ones, the 8 out of 10s, were like, we definitely had to help each other a lot. We were like, wait.
Wow. I love trivia. I go Wednesday night at Bigfoot Lodge.
We'll have to up the game because this is a fifth grade level. Maybe we should go to sixth next time and
Sixth
see
grade.
what the sixth graders should be knowing
Maybe we'll graduate to college eventually.
eventually.
Don't give me any math ever. I'm telling you, the triangle question. There's nothing that I'm worse at than math.
I was good at math up until like probably sixth, seventh grade, and then like after geometry, I was like, oh, what are these?
Listen, I went to college and I thought that I was going to major in entrepreneurship. And so I did that. And I got sent straight into an algebra class, which a friend did like all of my homework for me, and I still had a failing grade, so I had to drop out of it. Then I made that my minor, and the math that I took in college, you needed one to graduate. It was logic. It was letter math. They literally take letters and it's bizarre.
No,
Anyways,
but I had the same thought process when I was going to school. I was like, I want to do business minor, but I'm not going to do major because we have to take a math class. And I'm not taking a math class. So
literally what I did. I needed one math and then I did logic. Horrible. Horrible
it's
choice.
okay. I feel like sometimes it's just math isn't mathin' for anyone, you know? It just,
No, I am impressively bad at it. Like, would look at me and go, "Oh, that's the way that she does." Okay, cool.
no, it's okay. It's like we all have that moment where it's just like a blank face staring at an equation and we're like, it's
It's
numbers.
literally like, have you ever watched? Do you watch SpongeBob?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
whenever they're running around in the brain that's on fire and they're throwing things out of filing cabinets. They're like, "Where's the name?" Like that's me whenever a math question is
No,
involved.
same. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to know like what's next for you. Where can people follow you and keep up with what you're doing? Just plug yourself.
What's next for me is I'm shortlisted for a horror film that shoots next year. So hopefully that works out. I don't know if it will. I don't know if I got it yet, but if that's next for me, then that would be amazing. And also I'm going to say it here because I need to hold myself accountable. I'm trying to meet with an industry professional per week this year. So if you want to meet with me, just let me know. I'm trying to do one every week. Producers, managers, agents, casting directors, people like that. I think that's really great. So that's my big goal this year. And then you can follow me at Cass Huckabay. That's it. That's what I use on all of my handles is Cass Huckabay.
Amazing. So everyone make sure to follow Cass on all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, keep up with what she's doing, and like tune into her stories and her motivational posts because honestly, I get motivated every time I watch it. I'm like, you know what? I need to do that too.
Thanks. I'm really just talking to myself. If you want to come watch me have a conversation with Cass, please.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel and tune into more guests that we'll have on and just keep up with us. And hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay! Thank you for having me. Mwah!